Welcome to a brand new episode of Lunch with Doug Plus, a unique and fun experience brought to you by the Music Exerbia Project. We are here today thanks to the generous support of our esteemed sponsors. John's Barbershop, located at 121 West Cherry Street in Nevada, Missouri. Open Tuesday through Friday, 10:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. Walk-ins only, no appointment needed. The American Legion Post No. 2, located at 402 East Cherry Street in Nevada, Missouri, newly remodeled with a clean, fresh look. You write books, you make music, you've dabbled in a number of things in the creative world. That's why you're here today, really. I'm excited to learn about you. How are you today?
I'm living the best, man. And being here with you, that's making my life even better. So, I mean, this is great. No, I'm excited. So,
yeah.
I was digging your stuff, man. I'm like watching your videos. Like I am just rolling around. I'm like telling my kids, I'm like, get to work. Do you not see these kids in the video? Like what is happening here? So no, I'm digging what you're doing. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I think you may be referencing the that actually might not have been a video I produced. That one, okay. If it's Bolognium stuff, yeah, I didn't do that. Those guys do that up there. Yeah, and they're fantastic. That's why there's a lot of that zany stuff on there. So So yeah, a lot of the videos aren't. It just I'm just putting them out there. But
I just like the stuff
various
that you're doing.
people.
Anything you put out, I'm always like looking at. I'm clicking on everything you're putting out.
I knew what you were talking about because the Bolognium, we've been playing them a bunch this week, and they just got some really zany, psychedelic, really cool like videos out. It's awesome. So do you have any music videos?
Yeah. Now, so This Machine is my old metal band. And if you go to This Machine band, I don't know what's going on these days, but apparently that name has become popular. So about 3 or 4 new bands have come out over the last 5 years, all named This Machine, which is clouding Spotify. It's just messing up. We've kind of, but there's that band is still kind of going on as kind of a touring band, but they're not, there's different members in it. They're just using the name. I mean, it's some of the original members, but like,
right.
They're still touring. They're still doing great. They still played a few festivals here and there and stuff like that. If you go on YouTube and just go to This Machine band, you should be able to find Vicar Switch, Flesh. These are the some of the bigger videos that we had on there.
Cool.
And then One Note Wonder, that is my EDM project. I've got a ton of stuff on the One Note Wonder project. So if you look up One Note Wonder on YouTube, again, same thing, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, those are all out there. I probably got about 30, 40. There's three full albums. One album's kind of like a semi-double album. My first album, great experimental. If you just do not want your neighbors to like you, just blast that one at full blast, and you'll question your own sanity by the end of that one. So and by the end of it, it's pretty good. I would say house dubsteppy kind of rhythm, funk. I don't know.
One Note Wonder. Let me ask you: did you distribute on Tap Tunes with that project?
I'm CD Baby usually, because that's what I've been using CD Baby for 20 some years now. So I mean, everybody wants to use DistroKid or some of these other things, but I like their distribution, just flat rate. You don't have to worry about I can put out a 30 song thing, and it's all just still one price. I know distro's got like for a single song, I think they're probably better. But what are you doing? What are you using?
Oh no, what I was asking about is Tap Tunes. I thought maybe One Note Wonder was on Tap Tunes. Tap Tunes is not something you can be on Tap Tunes too. They're just a card that plays from your it's, what do they call that? It's not Bluetooth, but the other thing where you tap your card to your phone and it just
opens up this proprietary player and you can play it. It's really cool.
Oh, I
They're
think I
really
know. Yeah.
awesome.
Okay.
I thought maybe I saw you on that, but I didn't know. There's
I
about
think
50 artists in America that are on those cards now, and it's fastly growing.
I think
It's really
that's
cool.
something I have looked at. I think I know what you're talking about. Right. That it's like yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah.
I mean, my stuff usually like anymore these days, like my little, I guess you call it a business card, is just a
Mm-hmm.
sticker with a QR code on it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, anymore, I'm just like, use the QR code to take you to wherever you need to
Yeah.
go and stuff. So,
That's the world now. However, and really the QR code, like on the back of the card, if you don't have the phone that has the NFC, is what it's called.
oh yeah,
NFC. And if
okay.
you don't have that, but see, they're putting it in cars now and on TVs, so you'll be able to like tap it to your car, tap it. Yeah, Mercedes Benz had it last year.
So I can
So
just
you could,
walk around with my music and just upload it to people and just like
well,
slapping
yeah,
their
yeah. You
stuff.
tap the card and then it goes on their phone. It'll ask them if they want it. But one button. There's no like you don't have to go to no app store. You don't have to give your email. None of this stuff. It just pops right up because the
Okay.
card's the key, right? And then you can play it or you can download it because you've bought it, but then the card is resellable and then the next person will be able to use it too if you wanted to, used market or
Oh,
autographed cards, collectability, right? But the minute you leave that browser, you can't get back into it without the card again. So it's
that's
really like
wild.
it's like tangible but not tangible. So it's like a new they're really cool. People like them just because they're cool. Once they see it work, they're like, "Whoa, that was fast."
So it's a lock browser, and the card is basically like the key. And
Card
every
unlocks
time
it.
you access that browser, just you have to have the key.
Yeah.
Basically,
Yes,
that
sir.
is okay.
Yeah. And
Now I
then,
see
like
because
I said,
like,
if you download the songs, then you got them on your local device. But just like the same as you would if you ripped the CD, same kind of deal.
are you
And
a
it's really,
Napster? Like, were you like part
I
of the
was around for
Napster?
Napster. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so are you Lars or Napster? Which side?
Lars or Napster. At the time, honestly, I was mad a little bit at Metallica for being the buttheads about that because I didn't think it was a bad. I understood where they were at like with it, but I was like the
Mhm.
way they were just being kind of jerks about it. I thought was stupid. I didn't really use Napster because I understood. So I was like, I understood the concept of Napster too, and I'm like, okay, you dummy, like why'd you do that in the first place? That was a dumb move. So I could tell that I'm thinking Napster's stupid. They should have put preventative action. They could have avoided this if they'd have been somehow. I don't know how, but they would have had to figure it out,
Right.
advertising or whatever. Anyway, but yeah, so I was just kind of like done with both of them. However, Sean Parker came from Napster, and he's the guy that dropped that 15 million to get Spotify going. So, or they were
Right.
already going, but oh yeah, yeah, he was an investor early on with them.
I mean, it's just like I don't know. That's one of those things I go back and forth on all the time, because, having the access to your music, get your fan base up and, for especially for young artists, it's just I don't know. Today, I see all my old heads that go around with me and they're all complaining like I used to have to like paint flyers on the wall and all this other stuff. And I'm like, this is like a cutthroat world now with like the social media. Yeah, you can get like a whole big, vast audience, but like they're halfway across the country. Still nobody's coming to
Mm-hmm.
your shows. I mean,
Yeah.
you might be able to get up a Spotify account a little bit, but still nobody's coming to your shows.
Yeah.
And they don't understand what that's like either. I mean, it's just a whole different world on how to market, how to kind of get that
Yeah.
information out there. So
I'm totally glad we kind of got to this subject because I really enjoy talking with the artists about these kind of things. And especially because I feel like probably our channel is getting kind of like I'm sort of music related, so there's probably a bunch of musicians that are listening more than regular people,
sorry for the
and so
novel talk. Oh crap.
so
Yeah.
so so I do enjoy it, but then at the same time I don't want to be too boring because then you get into statistics and stuff,
Yeah. No,
and
no,
numbers and things.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
really, I think like now, like you're
Which is
like
what you do way too much as an artist. So go ahead.
yeah, we just like think about it. I'm just like, okay, so yeah, Spotify in a nutshell, or all the digital, they ruined our industry. They ruined us. We hate them. They're really the enemy. But however, it's the way of life now, right? But what they did do is they opened up some channels that we were never ever able to get, before. So, and part of that's just the time of the way we're at. But like, I remember, in the late '90s when I was in a band, and I look at like what we were doing then, and like the thing is okay. I don't know that it was harder or less hard to be in a band then. It was just different. But actually, I think the gateway of opportunity. So maybe your friend was right. Maybe he was saying, yeah, it's easier now. But again, like you're saying, I think it's easier. It's Othello. That's what it is. It takes a second to learn and a lifetime to master. So really, I think once you get in the gate, the initial thing is like, okay, sure, I'll have 400 friends notice me, and I couldn't back then, or I can notice them in like lightning speed, 400 kids about my show. But like you said, the trick is more of them still went to the show back then than they do now.
Yeah, so I would say like back then you had more of this was the local hangout. And I don't think you see that anymore. I think like there was always like we would play these dive bars back in the day. And I mean, like we would just walk in and think, oh my God, what have we gotten ourselves into? It's total Blues Brothers, chicken wire, kind of thing. And they're like, no, for real, people will come. Like they come every night because there's just nothing else to do. And we're like, well, we're in the middle of Kentucky, like, and there's that whole like area. I don't know if you've been up like getting up into like Bowling Green, like up into that area. There's like Bowling Green's great. Love Bowling Green.
Right.
Like Cage the Elephant, like playing with them and everything and stuff like that was fantastic, up in there. But like we played in a lot of like old empty Kmart's up in there. And like this is like again back in the 90s. And they were like, no, for real, people are gonna come no matter what. It doesn't matter who we have here. Does not matter. Does not matter. And I think like now that's different.
Yeah, it was it was more of like a cultural thing that you went to, like you went to local shows. It was more of a thing. And now it's like, you go to shows, I guess, but it's more like, I think maybe it's more accessible also and readily aware. The awareness probably more than anything. Like they know where their favorite artist is going to be, and they're like, oh yeah, it's 20 miles down the road. I can go see, whoever. I can go see Bon Jovi. I can go see Poison. I can go see, maybe not Kiss now, but I think Gene Simmons is on tour.
Oh, is he? Oh, I'm going to see Alice Cooper. I've got tickets already, man.
Ooh,
yeah, man. So,
nice.
My kid. I'm taking the kids.
Yeah,
I'm dragging them, screaming and kicking.
It's sort of like
they don't realize how much they're gonna love like an actual Alice Cooper show. They don't understand how much like.
Yeah,
I'm like, he's totally gonna kill a camera guy. Don't worry.
Yeah, someone's gonna die. He's gonna get his head cut off, and then he's gonna come back from the dead. Or that's how it usually goes anyway.
No, we just did like, I took them. So they're like, 11 and 15. So they're just getting to that age now. So luckily, the Metallica is coming around. So we were able to go to the Metallica, Pantera, Suicidal Tendencies. And then at the same week, it's like Coheed and Cambria and Mastodon. Nice. And, so I'm giving him like Metal Flavor, and everything. And then like next week we're doing Chris Stapleton. Like going completely on the other end of the spectrum.
You'll give them shock. No,
I know.
What?
No, it's great. No,
he's good.
And then Alice Cooper, I think we're doing Lindsey Sterling this summer. It's like
nice.
Yeah, just some good stuff. Yeah.
So. That's gonna be a good summer.
No, as far as I think like there's so much like that. I think like I hate when people poo-poo like stuff. They're like kids these days. That crap just bothers me. Because it's all give and take. Because since it is so easy to do, maybe some of the marketing stuff today, and everybody kind of says, well, that's easy, but guess how many more people are doing that now? And the scene is flooded with just so many different, I don't know how many times I have to put out a TikTok or, that meta, business account and stuff like that, at least, you can kind of schedule some stuff and that helps out a little bit. But I mean, you're just, relentlessly having to pound people to death. And you know how that works with just, as much of that as possible. And everybody else is doing that as well. So, doing anything to stand out, unfortunately, you get Logan Paul or, something along those lines. And I think that's the unfortunate part of today, is that we might be missing some great quality, I think, out there, that just doesn't want to deal with those aspects of it.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the online.
Yeah. I mean, I found that probably my entire life, because I'm more of a media guy. I've been involved in radio and TV and stuff on and off throughout my whole career as well. So I'm just comfortable with that. But your typical artist, 9 out of 10 of them, they really are uncomfortable with that. They don't like it. They want, media attention and stuff, but they don't exactly know, they want the focus on that. And then, they don't want to go in there to the interview. They want you to see their video or let the lead singer talk or something, they'll sit over here in the corner, but they're very uncomfortable. And then they're like, you got to do what? Like, I have barely enough time to think about the, the music that I'm doing and the arrangements, and that. So,
right. I mean, now, did you do a lot like original, or like, what was your like main work? Because we haven't talked a lot about like your actual music career.
Oh yeah. Surprise.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
yeah.
I'm sure, like I said, the viewers have seen a lot of what I do, but they're oversaturated.
I know.
But no,
like, but
I played in an alt rock band when I started, and we were focused on originals. We did covers at the time also, but we were really trying to be an original band. So we did some showcase gigs, but we also did some, clubs where you did a little of everything. And then after that, I got into kind of in a church setting. So I wasn't really in a band that traveled, but I just played at church, regularly, and did a lot of stuff like that. And then I also started doing my solo thing, which was really just, I called it folk, but it's really like alt rock, acoustic alt rock, folk, something like that. I don't know what to label it. Me and a guitar, but so I did that all along. But I originally, when I started that, I was like, okay, now, because I kind of got tired of being in bands, and I couldn't really, after I got out of the one, I never could. I was hired gun, but I never could find one I really wanted to stick around with. Not because they were bad musicians or anything, or cool people. It was just that it was what I just was like, I really want to do my songs. And the best way to do that was just me and my guitar. And I wanted to play coffee shops. And then I realized that you can't make any money playing coffee shops, because you can play all of them you want to for free.
Yeah.
And so, it's
merch and CDs. I mean, that's the way.
Yeah.
That's what I was kind of going to get to. Is like, if you're like an original band, a lot of times you're just like, just let me in the door. Just let me in the door. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll sell, like, I've got CDs, I'm going to blow your mind. And then I'm going to sell you a t-shirt and a CD, hopefully at the end of the night.
Yeah.
And that's how I'm going to get back to the next gig.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. And that's how it was kind of.
And that, again, like another thing that's completely changed. Like, now you just like basically send a design in, and then it's, you don't have anything, it's just, they
punch the website, it ships it to them, everything, which is cool.
I mean, I can still make them cheaper, that, if I get them ordered and have them sent to me, and then I can sell them at my shows and, do different things and stuff like that. But, if you do some of that stuff, it's easy to do, but then the price is kind of jacked up. Anyway, that's one of those. Yeah, no, it's just, it's one of those things where there's just no good way out. Like, there's always going to be a problem.
Yeah. Yeah. That's probably right.
Yeah.
So what would your advice be? Because you've got a lot of years in you. How many years have you been doing this stuff? Or do you even want to say? Should I ask that? There I ask.
No, it's great, because whenever I finally do, I think I'm getting closer, but I've got a country album that's coming out that's basically just going to be, bitching and moaning about being old.
Nice.
And
that'll be a top seller, man. Yeah.
It is.
What's your country name for your country project?
That'll be Jason Derrick Music. that's what's going to be working on right now. So I'm just kind of building that brand up now. Kind of working on that. Yeah. Yeah, so when that comes out, that's basically what it's going to be talking about. But you really do get to a certain kind of point where you do start to think about that. And I'm almost glad you asked that question, because that's kind of where I am right now. I think we started off talking a little bit really just about how we met, and some of the things that I'm doing right now, which is really trying to help some of the local venues that we have get better with working with musicians that aren't Spotify friendly, younger, just people that are just, I mean, amazing. You hear them at open mic nights and they just blow your mind away, and you go talk to them and they really don't know what they're doing. They have no clue really. And I'm trying to really network people together to kind of get people that to be able to flourish a little bit more. But I would say, like, if you had to ask me, like, from my experience and stuff, being at this age now and going through the roller coaster, that being a creative, brings you, the number of times I've trashed everything in the room and said it's over, I'm done,
Never again.
only to come back, harder
Uh-huh.
and more, more committed than I've
Uh-huh.
ever been in my entire life. Um, is you That's it. It has to be something that you would crawl over broken glass for
Mm-hmm.
the question I would always get, when we gotten those very lucky experiences to get to open up for, a great band or something like that. And people would not really know that we're not them. So we get to sign autographs and we're laughing, we're just giggling at each other because we really shouldn't be signing autographs, to be honest with you. So it was fantastic to have those experiences. But these kids would say, what do we got to do to get to where you are right now? And I would say, you just got to love it, because it is really a day and night kind of. It's something I think, I was talking about when you said, well, what are you dealing with right now? And the reason why I wanted to talk about the novel was because that's what I'm waking up thinking about, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm elbowing the other things out of life, to get to that moment. And I think, like, with anything, if this is truly your passion, and that's really the question I ask a lot of the musicians and people I work with, um you know you got to think about this like a job. You would work at McDonald's, you would work and do horrible work for very little pay. So let's just think about the same thing. Would you be willing to trudge through the mud for this experience? And if you
Yeah.
are, and you're willing to put in the legwork, eventually, just like anything, you're going to build up a reputation. You're going to have those experiences that will build on top of the next experience. And that's when you'll finally see that kind of thing. So as much as we all want to be the discovery, there's an A&R guy sitting in the back
Mm-hmm.
and they're just waiting on you, to play your set, as much as
Yeah.
we all want that to be the thing, the reality is that really what those A&R guys are looking for is, if I'm going to invest in this guy, if I'm going to invest in this girl, are they going to work for me? Are they going to
Mm-hmm.
go out and tour every day? Are they going to write albums for me? Are they going to do whatever for me? And that's what I think a lot of young people don't realize. That's what those companies are looking for. That's ultimately what's still, if you're going to work for yourself, that's still what's going to make your brand truly flourish, is that you just wake up and do it because that's what you're going to do, whether 5 people watch you or whether 1 million people watch you. It doesn't really matter, because I've already decided this is what I
Yeah.
decided I wanted to do. And I think,
Exactly.
like, if you can do that soul searching, then and really hitch your wagon to that, the idea that this is a job, and this is the greatest job you could ever ask for, because this is my passion, then I will make McDonald's money. I will make, that, I don't care, I will make that kind of money and be perfectly happy with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think
Yeah.
if you can make that commitment to it, I think all else will fall into place.
Oh yeah, that was a great answer. Great answer. And somewhere in there I was nodding. I was like, because you were saying, what you were saying is you had to crawl through glass or whatever, and
Yeah.
that's what it is. And then it's like if, and I'm like thinking that all the time. These guys they'll jump from band to band to band, and they're doing their thing, and then they're unhappy, and I'm like, just grab the one you want to do and do that one, and be that until that succeeds, and then or doesn't, and then whatever. And if you need to make some money other way or whatever, but that's not what you're, that's temporary, and just the guy you were talking about, CD Baby, the guy that founded that, Derek, um I think you say his last name Sivers, I think. He founded it, started it and then sold it like in 2011, I think. But he writes books now, and he's got one that says, what was the title? It was oh shoot, it's escaping me now, but basically the title basically says if you're not excited about it, don't do it. So it, or no
Yeah.
is the answer. It's like hell yes or no is the title of it. There we go. So it's like hell yes or no.
Oh, hell yeah or no. I love
Yeah.
that. That is
You don't even
fantastic.
have to read the book to get the message. You're like,
Right.
okay, change
Right.
your life. I make all my decisions like that now, and it's life has been a lot better because
Okay.
you're going somewhere and you're whatever, like you said, you're making money, and maybe even making decent money, but it's like you can make that same amount somewhere else, and you can do that doing something different. And if you're not completely happy there with it, get out of that and go make the money somewhere else, or do what you want to do.
Right.
And even if you make half the money, you might still be happier, whatever. But
Well, yeah,
it's
I mean, you can put up all the cliches about it, but like, do what you love and all that crap and blah, blah, blah. But I mean, literally, like, I look at my bandmates every now and then, and we're just, as soon as we wreck a song, we all just look at each other and laugh. And I mean, like, how it is, you think you're going to play it great. And right after that, you're like, what else would you rather do? This
mm-hmm.
is great, so
Yeah.
yeah. No, I'll take the good with the bad. That's really what it's all about. Like it's I mean, as much as I love my family, I mean, they got some qualities I'd rather get rid of, but I can't. I just got to take
Yeah.
it all for what they are, like, whether they're a little spicy that day or not, it is what it is, but I think it's just life, just you be a little bit more kind of even keel about things. And I think, find your passions and just don't get a little too crazy. And I think you'll be able to work your way through stuff. So, you know, I'm sure you've met some people before, like your very first starstruck experience where you realize people are actually more normal than,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. And
There's
I
a
think
lot.
I think we all like kind of, that's what I was saying. Like the kids say, how do I get to be what, you're doing? And I'm like, well, really, you don't, realize what it takes to get here. It's for the 1 hour on stage, it's the 4 hours of driving, plus I don't know, the endless hours of writing and recording. For us, it was, we had projectors and, stage stuff going on. So we had to have a lighting director and we had to have a music director, kind of running the sound and doing different things like that. So that all had to be choreographed and rehearsed before we went out. So these things are just, they're tedious and boring. And how those are, like when you're doing rehearsals and, you know, so those are just not fun times. And when you get through that, but you just stomp it on a show and then you walk off and you're just drenched in sweat and you did it. I mean, you pulled it off. I mean, there's just no better feeling in the world than that. But it only comes from that, relentless effort, and I think that's just with anything. I don't care if you want to be an HVAC guy or whatever. I mean, you could be, my buddy quit doing all this a long time ago and decided he wanted to be the best HVAC guy in the world. And he lives a fantastic life. I mean, he's got a pool. So, I don't have a pool.
Next year, right? You got the book coming out,
No, but I mean, what I'm saying is that he dedicated himself to that thing,
Yeah.
and he didn't get distracted, and He was actually a fantastic guitarist and all this other stuff. He could have been really good at that stuff, but family guy, and he made decisions, but he committed.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying.
Oh yeah.
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 I felt bad.
Oh yeah.
But
Yeah. We need HVAC, man. It's
no,
important.
he didn't feel bad at all. No, he's living a great life.
Yeah.
So no.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's the business today. So you're doing media, you're doing podcasting, you're doing this kind of thing. So like how that's always something that I think about. Like, but how is that work? Like, how do you get your name out on that? How do you put your
the same?
yeah,
Just keep doing it. Yeah, I've been 8 years now, and so the first few years were not very many, and then it finally gets to that place where it starts to like go places. But even now, I mean, it's still not. You can hit things like monumentally. If you went and looked at most of my socials and stuff, the numbers really aren't all that impressive when you look at them as a viewer. But really, again, it's like you said, it's about you're doing it over and over and over and again. So you put out 4 posts that day or whatever, and one of them doesn't look very impressive, but by the time you add up those 4 posts on this media and you add up 4 posts on this one, and you go through all 8 or 9 of the major social medias and YouTube and all that, and then you add up all those views again, your reach in a month is exponential,
Okay.
So, but even then, it's not like I think as far as our podcast goes, on the audio podcast, which just switched to now Plus, so it has video on some platforms that are doing that. Some of them aren't, so you hear audio on some. But anyway, it gets about 6,000 unique viewers a month, and they listen to about 3 shows. So really, that's not it's not a huge number, but that number didn't start to get accumulated there until like the last 3 years probably. So, but now with the videos, and then we're adding distribution with this. Hopefully we'll, as 6 months from now, we're gonna be smooth. Hopefully.
I mean, it's got to be about meeting people too, like reaching out. Like, I mean, I know that just posting across social medias, is ridiculous sometimes. It just kind of wears you out. And so, whether it's curating stuff to aspect ratios, or you got those things are tedious. Yeah.
There's like seven pictures for each video sometimes, depending on where you're putting it. Because you've got an Instagram format, you've got a Facebook format, you've got a format for TikTok, you've got close but no cigar. The format for your reels is pretty close to Instagram, or not Instagram, pretty close to TikTok, but it's not the same. And then you don't want to get one that's branded and reshare. I mean, you could, but you don't want to. And then you don't want the same content though, because then you got to analyze each of the markets, and they're all special.
Right. That's like, do you do?
And then the weekend comes and I take 2 days off and I don't think about anything. I just lay there. Oh my God, what did I get myself into?
I'm doing I'm doing like all my writing during the weekend, and I'm playing on the weekend, and doing a lot of my shows during the weekend. But like, no, it's a lot of more social media. And oh, have you met my social media marketer yet? I would like to. I mean, I just get lots of that spam, and just having to dig through all that. And they're getting so good with that stuff. Like, I would love to make connections, but so many people. You can see it from their profiles if you have the time to kind of go through some of that stuff. But I mean, it's so aggravating, because you think you're actually making connections with real people and doing different things like that. And so, I find the social media stuff and like doing that to be a different animal now that I'm doing with the novel stuff than what I was doing with the music. I think that those are 2 very different animals now.
Yeah.
So that's why I was asking.
Your novel people they're gonna embrace social media differently. A lot differently, because they're like people that read, words. It's like I worked at a newspaper for a while, And it took me just a little bit to get the idea of how I would space the words and the ads and do things different. Because I was like, oh, I want all this, this loud, exciting ad. And my supervisor would get at me sometimes, and they would say, you got to remember who is looking at this. And these people, they read words and they want white space. They want it to be. They don't want it sideways. They want, in some instances, sure, a little slanted text was cool or whatever, but they don't want that. They want the nitty gritty, easy to get their eyes on and easy to receive it, because they're quick. They're reading this whole thing every day, fast. So they don't want to mess around. They don't want to guess. They just want to. And so once I started understanding that, in that place, I was like, okay, cool. So that's the same thing. Your readers are, man, they're different. They're plugged in different. Some of them do listen to words, but most of your like hardcore readers, they don't listen to the audiobooks. They read it because they can. A lot of them, same thing. They can read it faster than they can listen to it. And then somebody like me, I can listen to it faster than I read it. And that's why a lot of them, that's why they got that speed thing on there where they can speed it up and they can play the read back faster. Because those people that read all the time, they just read so fast. They want it faster. They don't want to read to go slow. So
that's speculative fiction too, is kind of dense. So like some of the authors in speculative fiction just write these ridiculously thick books. And so, I'm going to
they want all that extra, all that extra lore and all that extra stuff. Some people like certain kind of genres, they just want it's like a straight through kind of deal. Those, they want to know. They're like you. They're you. They are you. Right. As I'm saying that, because they're questioning it, like you were saying. They're questioning what if, and they're like, well, what if, or what about? And they want that little detail, like why the milk is green. They need to know why it's green. It's not just green milk because it's Martian milk. It's why is it green? What is the creature that produces that?
God, I'm such a Star Wars geek. I'm just sitting here the whole time going, it's blue milk, man. It's blue milk.
You knew what I was talking about.
Losing my mind. I've got to say, how can I say it without being a Karen?
No, you're fine. That's what I was talking about. But I was saying green because I didn't want to be the same. But you get what I'm saying, and they know now there's a creature for that.
No, you're correct. No, there's somebody out there going, no. That's actually what I have to worry about so much. I'm like, I go back and research the words I use because I know that's my audience. And I'm like, man, did I use that word right? Like, this is because let me Google it. Let me run this through all my checks and everything, because somebody else is going to do that too. And that's, you're right. So no, but like, I also love like this medium too. Like, I love chatting with people and everything. Like, I want to, I want to do like a murder podcast around music, where it's only murders around music, So Dave Mustaine's like engineer was murdered one time. We got to talk about Sid Vicious and, and all those guys and stuff.
Interesting. Yeah, that would be great. Actually, that's really
I'm working on this right now. No, I've got like a few episodes I'm already kind of thinking about kind of working on as well. So that's another thing about being old and kind of being, I don't want to tour or go around or, do that whole, I really want to, I want to run a marathon, but, it's a matter of what I can do at the moment. But like, that's the other great thing about social media, is that it gives, us creatives that just can't sleep at night, something to do, and come up with some great kind of things. So instead of just like Googling, what the hell happened to, such and such, like now I can, okay, now let me tell some other person about it. So and then
if you're a storyteller, I mean, it's all about the delivery. So if you're a personality and have a storytelling, you can tell the same story again, but you can tell it better, or you can fill in some gaps that if you look it up, you're like, well, what's the missing gaps? And you put the little missing piece in there, and then yours is the best because you filled in the gap. You filled in that little, and it might take you a while to find whatever that is, but you know what I mean? Once you get that little piece, you're like, everybody online says the same thing about the same story, but I know there's more. And then find what's missing and put it in there. And that's your headline, the truth about Bonnie and Clyde right there. What's the truth that no one else has told us?
Now, how do you stick with that though? Like, let's say you just become, let's say Doug becomes like with Doug, like we all just like, that's like a catchphrase.
Yeah.
Hey, you with Doug, come on.
Yeah.
know? And like, it's just now you're pigeonholed into this thing. You're max headroom. You're like, you cannot get out. Like you're there. Like, do you lean into that? Like, how do you deal with the success part? Because that's something else that I think a lot of people don't really understand is once you get into that successful avenue, there's expectations that kind of surround that. So like there's this great research paper I saw about like the paradox of success. So if you just want to be successful, pick one thing only, and just like a needle, push your way into that thing. But once you do become successful, you don't really have a lot of leeway with your audience. You if you try to vary,
you got to keep your product. Yeah,
you're going to lose out big time. But if you are variant with your thing, you're never going to be successful. However, if you do become successful with that model, I mean, you can do whatever you want. You have carte blanche. I mean, to kind of do whatever. I don't want to put Taylor Swift into that category because how early she got, but like how quickly she was able to switch genres, I think was actually a really smart move. Like a very smart move to like Justin Bieber. You can poo-poo on these kids as much as you want, but I think it's really intelligent for Hank Williams III. I don't know if you've gotten into his like catalog or not, but I mean, like it's out of control.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's got
like,
the country side and he's got the heavy metal side.
Or it's just insane. But like his fans let him do whatever he wants. He can't go wrong. You can Kid Rock up one side and down the other, but I mean, the guy really can't. He's allowed to really do whatever he wants. I mean, is he a DJ? Is he a rock guy? Is he hip hop? Who knows? Nobody knows.
Yeah.
But that's a hard way to go. I mean, if you're going to go, so let's say with Doug, you've got to be creative in many other aspects. Yeah. But now you have to dedicate all of your time. You can't do any of those other things. And that's something I noticed, like working with some of the bigger acts, was that they were, that was the stress of it, was that they just did not have time for their other creative endeavors. Like this just really demanded everything of them.
Yeah. Well, I think, and I guess to answer your question, sort of, is I think with what we've got here, I've struggled kind of my entire life because I get a lot of things going and I struggle. Like something will kind of work for a while, or there'll be a really good one, that lasts, but then it'll fizzle out, or I'll get bored of it and really want to do something else because it's not what I really want to do, So I've been trying to line that up. Like, what do you really want to do? And for me, I mean, like, being radio personality, I've always been on the radio. So I've been doing radio just about as long as I've done, music, because I thought music, radio, this will be a good thing. So media and all that's it's sort of in me to do these things. Like, so I find myself sort of like writing commercials or doing jingles or whatever. It just happens. I'll like accidentally write one. And I'm like, hey guy, I accidentally wrote a jingle for you. You want to buy it? Or something like that. That's not what I want to do, but I'm just that kind of guy.
What if you became the jingle guy? Like, what if that's what happened? Like you're John Stamos on whatever. Like,
but I guess with this thing with Doug, really doesn't limit it. I kept narrowing it down to where it's like, Doug is what people feel comfortable with. It's non-threatening. Dangerous Doug isn't a really good brand, but that's my music name, so I can't get rid of it. But so Dangerous Doug, but with Doug, it's very inviting, so lunch with Doug, you're having lunch with Doug, videos with Doug, you're having videos with Doug, interviews with Doug, you're having interviews with Doug, so
after talking to you now for this long, I gotta know where Dangerous Doug comes from, because like you're not like you're so great. I love talking to you. Yeah.
Okay, so the true story of Dangerous Doug. This is rare told interview here. Well,
I pulled it out. Okay,
I was working at a radio station at the time, and these friends of mine, I kind of was wanting a stage name, and I've been trying to figure out a name, and I couldn't find anything I was settled on. Right, so I tried some different stuff, and my friends had they did this cardboard wrestling thing in the back of their yard. So they took these cardboard boxes, and it was like WWE, and they videotaped, and it was like they were very serious about it. Okay, they had characters and all this stuff, and so they come to me. I didn't know them very well, but they come to me and they said, "Well, Doug, you're working at the radio station, so like surely you could push our cue music times and make it work right because everybody's messed this up. We really want somebody to do it. Would you do this for us?" And I think they even offered to pay me money too. And I was like, you guys don't have to pay me out. It sounds fun. But they wanted me to have because I was the PA guy. So they had the guy that was like Mean Gene that was in the ring, and he was the announcer. But I was the guy that did the over and that would introduce the wrestlers. And then you'd hear, I'd read the weights and all that stuff. And then I'd cue their music as they come in. So they wanted me to have a more of a wrestler type name. And there was a wrestler back in the 80s named Dangerous Doug Gilbert, right? So I'm sort of named after him because they were like, they even told me not to keep it. They're like, don't keep it. There's already a Dangerous Doug. But I was Dangerous Doug Harper. He was Dangerous Doug Gilbert. It was no big deal. So I continued to use it on the radio. I used it on the air, and I started to incorporate it as my artist name. And then back in the glory days of the internet, it got put into all these websites, and now it's never going to get out of them. So I was like, I cannot get rid of this, or I can't buy another name with all the attachment,
so that's too much.
Kept it. So it was just a happy accident, I guess.
Oh, did you get thumbtacked? Right? Like, did somehow, like, please tell me you went through like a table at some point in time.
I did not, but they were really serious. They were up on like the wall. They were jumping on it, and they built this big arch to this doorway. And it looked real. I thought it was metal. I was like, oh my goodness, they've got a metal freaking entry door. And they're like, no, it's just, particle board. We just painted it. It looks metal. And I was like, it was so cool. And they come through that door, and these guys were actors. They were serious. They had costumes, and they each played different part. And they put on this match. And I mean, there was probably 100 people in this backyard. Somebody's just backyard thing. It's got this little concrete wall, and they got these big cardboard things and these styrofoam things. They're busting styrofoam over each other's heads, and it's just like it's totally real. Like they just got slammed with steel. Everybody's like, oh, and then there's this guy with the camera running around.
At the gathering of the Juggalos here.
It was something else.
That's big here. Like not in this very specific area, but like all the surrounding areas is all that ICP, like the backyard wrestling kind of thing. Like, because where I am is I'm in the kind of like Appalachian Mountains kind of thing and stuff. So like that is like really big over in here. And they do like concerts all the time. So like we've played these shows over here where it is just, I'm going to call it wrestling, but really it is just like, how can we make each other bleed, really, is what it was, So no, I've had some really wild events like that. So I just love that you came from like, I love that. I love that. Love that. Yeah. Wrestling, Dangerous Doug. Yeah. Mean Gene. Okay.
Yeah. So I've hung on to it, and but mainly I tried to kind of change it a few years back, but I thought I could better brand, but then what I did was I better brand with Lunch with Doug podcast. It works better for me. However, I still need that name, so I was like, okay, Dangerous Doug's the host, and here's Lunch with Doug, and then when it comes with Doug, it narrows it down, and like all things. And then believe it or not, there's another Dangerous Doug that I network with out in. He's on a radio station in LA, and so we hooked up with each other. So he's been on my show, I've been on his show. We exchange a lot, and it's so now it's like it's become. He was telling me the other day, he's like, it's a Doug thing, and I was working on the with Doug, and I'm like, this is great because literally it could be Doug with Doug on the show. There's no boundaries.
Lunch with Doug
Yeah. So the podcast
it's so meta. It's so meta. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's like a Russian nesting doll. Yeah.
Hopefully it works out. And I guess the thing is just, try to expand the audience, and I guess having people on, which I've always done this a little bit, but I was more localized. but I would get these cool music people, and I'm like, let's just talk about music everywhere and whatever, and it'll be great. And
I really hope somebody listens to this entire thing and then like goes and finds out that I'm a has-been who never was. Like that's like they go search me out. Like no, this stuff I did is great. Like everything I'm doing is fantastic.
yeah,
But like you're saying, like it's just never enough. Like it's all
yeah,
modest,
yeah.
it's all these other things. But like you gotta, it's networking. It's just like
Uh-huh.
meeting people. I've really appreciated like, getting to, talk to you and
Yeah,
kind of getting to know you a little bit more and stuff like that. So
yeah.
this has been
It's
real fun. I've really
it's
enjoyed
really
this.
it's really exciting. And what I think like when I talk to people, like sometimes you don't, as an artist or a person, whatever, we don't always like give ourselves quite the credit that maybe, or we get in our area and we seem like we're kind of there, you know. And so
Mm-hmm.
what I think that I've stumbled onto, or maybe also what I'm trying to do, is because I know where these people are that I think are shaping the industry. Like as the music industry is happening, right? Things are
Mm-hmm.
shaping the industry. So I think when I reach out to somebody, and I don't know that, I don't tell this to people when I reach out to them, but ultimately the reason, like when you find someone like I did you, this is the internet and algorithms and all this stuff that's putting
Mm-hmm.
our paths together. There's a greater, there's that going on. So then, and then when I talk to you and I'm like, okay, I'm feeling out like what you're doing, I'm like actually inviting people on the show that I feel like are actually shaping the music industry in our nation anyway, maybe in the world. And I know you don't, but I'm like the
I
people that,
very
yeah,
small. Like I have a very small influence area of
yeah,
influence. But
yeah.
yes,
So,
it's.
so
I would like to think maybe. I don't know.
so you got this small thing going on maybe now, but then as you do develop things, and then as the times change, I think the guests on here, and also what you're saying, and who else maybe will be viewing in the next few upcoming weeks and stuff,
Yeah.
they'll watch it, and then they get to know these other people, and it's gonna bring people that should be together, or at least should know, aware of each other. Hopefully, it's gonna bring that together, and some things will start to occur based on, oh, these characters on this place are.
Yeah.
I just don't think there's any other network out there trying to think like that right now. So, you know,
Well, I think like, you've definitely inspired me. I mean, just through our conversations and stuff like that, like, I want to do more now, so I think that's what I think your mission is. So I
maybe
think that's
so.
what I'm feeling. Like I do,
Yeah.
like I'm going to go, the podcast that I'm not, I've got like episodes like, like that's, the thing, like, sometimes it's just a catalyst. It's,
Uh-huh.
just getting to sit down and talk to people and kind of actually talk things through sometimes. And that's a
Yeah.
great thing. And thanks for doing that, man. That's
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
a
You just,
great service. Honestly, it really is.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because you do, like, that's, I think what I get out of the conversations, and then I watch them back, and I get it when I'll watch this back, it'll be even cooler because I'm watching it like a viewer. And so I'll be like, oh, sometimes I miss something, probably because I was thinking about what I was going to say instead of, at certain points where you get like
Yeah.
that.
Oh,
So
yeah.
sometimes you're
Yeah.
on listening.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm worried about I'm like, oh, am I out of tea?
Right.
but anyway, yeah, and I get pretty inspired, and I really, like I said, when I find the people just like you, I think what I was most caught by you was the fact that a lot of people will talk with you. They'll engage back when you're engaging with new people, but a lot of times, some people just, they aren't really even interested in just like, even taking some time. And I was like, all right, this guy's taking some time. He has some interest. He's a creative guy himself. We started visiting. I'm like, yeah, this is what I call that's a real deal. It's somebody who's really plugged into the industry, not just in one field. You're overlapping, and that's what really is cool.
Well, I mean, I appreciate it, but yeah, I mean, that's what I was trying to say earlier is that, the commitment level is really ultimately what it's about because
Yeah.
if you want to be the best stockbroker, I mean, you got to fight your way through it. You got to get through all that stuff. So, same thing, and I really
Yeah.
appreciate that. So thank you
Yeah.
very much. And yeah, to you, I mean, I'm loving this. This is fantastic. And what you're doing, obviously, like I said, you're pulling it out of me. I'm like, where I am, it's getting late now, and I mean, as soon as I get off here, I'm like maybe gonna grab the guitar and like try to like do something, So
yeah, you're gonna write something. Yeah, I got to get off here too. We've went longer than usual, but that's okay. There's no rules in this game. We'll talk and how it was a great interview, and I'm sure that we're gonna talk again soon. And keep me posted on your projects. And
I think we will actually. So just connect with me and we'll be doing this again, I think, maybe.
Absolutely. Well, thanks again, and talk to you soon.
Absolutely. All right.